My friends, we have so much to talk about today, this evening, this Tuesday evening, June the 4th. A hearty hello and a hi, Silver, and a welcome to you, all of us, all of our friends, to this thing of ours. And my friends, we have so much to discuss. And the first thing we always discuss, the first thing I always mention is the fact that, remember, there are 154 days until the election. Do not be distracted. Do not be distracted. Do not forget what this is about. This is not about hearings. It's not about making people look bad. It's not about funny quips and moments. It's about something bigger than that, something even more remarkable, something profoundly important. That is the election. Nothing matters but the election. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to take your thoughts and comments and your insights and all of that. And again, I say to you, welcome, and thank you so much for being with us. It was a pretty wild day on Capitol Hill. It's fun. It's fun to watch. Does it matter? Nah, but it's fun. It's fun to watch because we love to see at least somebody standing up and giving these people heck, even though it doesn't matter. I don't want to ruin your time, but it doesn't matter. And I'll explain to you what should be done is what they are doing, what they did to Trump. Namely prosecution, they should be prosecuting Fauci. What they're doing to Hunter Biden, that's what they should do. They didn't have hearings are great. They're fun. They're great. They make you feel good. And hey, that was funny. What a great quip. Doesn't really matter. You know how I knew the Fauci thing was in the bag? You know how I knew this? Why do you think? You never read him his rights. He never took the fifth. He went there without taking the fifth. They granted him no immunity, meaning he's not in any way, nobody's prosecuting him. Say what you want. It's like use immunity. Say what you want. Go ahead and do it. They're never going to go after him for lying. They're never going to go after him what they did to Bannon. They're never going to have to go for it. It's not going to happen. But that's the way these things are. But you know that. And this is not me being mean. I just want you to understand, while we love to have these great moments, they don't mean anything because Fauci should be behind bars. You hear what I'm saying? He should be arrested. He should be frog marched. He should be indicted on a slew of charges. Not only that, all these other people who are doing conflicts of interest, forget Fannie Willis, people who are making $700 million on COVID. Come on. So you sit back for a moment, my friends. We're going to go into it right now. We got so many great things to talk about and discuss. But first of all, I say to you, again, welcome. Make sure you are subscribed. Subscriptions are critical. It's the only thing that matters. It's not what you say, it's how many numbers you have. Okay. Very good. And we're making great progress thanks to you. Also, make sure you hit the like button. Like buttons are critical also. Oh my God, they're so critical, so critical, so incredibly critical. And make sure you also hit that little bell so you're notified of live streams and new videos and the like. But first, my friend, let's talk about something which is so critical, so important. The idea of emergency food. They used to call you preppers. They used to laugh at you like you were crazy. Look at these tin foil hats. By the way, it's aluminum foil. We haven't used tin in years. Look at these crazy tin foil hat people. Stop it. It's emergency food. And where do you go? Preparedwithlionel.com. It's no longer a question of if something catastrophic is coming, it's when. And while you still have some control, what are you going to do about it now to prepare? Well, your first step is going to my website, preparedwithlionel.com. And for a limited time, take $200 off a 3-month emergency food supply. My Patriot Supply is equipped to help you and your family to prepare. They've helped over 2 million families already. These 3-month kits with Ready Hour foods provide over 2,000 calories every day with 22 varieties and a 25-year shelf life. Breakfast, lunches, dinners, drinks, snacks, everything. And they're sealed inside 6 rugged waterproof buckets, and they're over 120 pounds of food. So take advantage right now and go to preparewithlionel.com, preparewithlionel.com. One more time, preparewithlionel.com. Now, my friends, the levels of corruption that we are seeing, the levels of corruption are absolutely catastrophic at levels I never thought even possible. I never even thought remotely possible. I thought there is no way. There is no way, dear friends, that this could even be allowed. There's just simply no way. But nonetheless, we go and we wait for little crumbs of food. We say, oh, please, would you have a little hearing? Would you have a hearing? Would you say something funny? Come on, Jim Jordan. Come on. Nightingale wants to hear it. Dennis Cosgrave. Edward does. Arruda. Jimmy Green. Edie Crowley. Come on, the usual folks. We want to hear. Why? Because you're not going to do anything. You're not going to indict anybody. What does this man have to do? What does this man have to do? And we tune in and we like him. That's why we need somebody else in charge, because as long as these folks are in charge of the Department of Justice, nothing's going to happen. And what, by the way, do these people have any has anybody ever been referred to for criminal prosecution ever? Is it me? Does this make any sense to you? I don't understand. Does this make any sense to you? Does this make any sense to you? I don't know. I don't get it. Now, there was one great moment, and you got to listen real carefully. She was caught on mic. Joni Ernst, the great congresswoman from, the senator, I think from Iowa, I believe she's a Republican. She's a senator from Iowa, Joni Ernst. She was born in 1970. I love it. I think to myself, okay, all these people, I think, well, they're older, they're younger, they're which is fine. Doesn't really matter to me. But listen to this. They were having a hearing. Did you hear this one? They were having a hearing. They had John Kennedy, and they were doing it, and Joni Ernst is walking out. And I want you to listen really carefully to this. Really carefully, because you're going to miss what she says if you don't follow. She's on the extreme left here. I mean, in terms of position, not politically. Listen, okay? Ready? Everybody stop talking. Stop talking. Listen carefully. Good job.
Bottom line, never trust a man whose uncle was eaten by cannibals.
Did you hear that? One more time. She says, bottom line, never trust a man whose uncle was eaten by cannibals. Listen. Good job.
Bottom line, never trust a man whose uncle was eaten by cannibals.
I love that. What does it mean? It was funny. It was levity. You think she knew her mic was off? That's what I would do. I'd do the old, oh, I'm sorry, I thought my mic was on. I would say things just on purpose. Just to say, well, they caught him in the back seat of the car. I think it was a mallard. Was it a mallard? I think so. I think it was a mallard. And if his wife finds out, it's over with. Just walk. Have people just go, what was a mallard? A duck? Who was caught with a duck? What are you talking about, for God's sake? Now, this is the moment you love. And I'm going to play this. And again, I don't want to be a killjoy. Please. It's fun. This is the time for people to get their digs in so they can go back to their constituents. Hey, did you like the way I gave him hell? I sure did. Didn't accomplish anything, but I sure did. Did you like the way? Oh, I thought it was great. The way you stuck it to him like that. Yeah, that's me. All right. I sure did. Yeah. That's what I did. All right. Well, and Marjorie Taylor Greene. And you know what? At least she's saying something. And I like her spunky, spirited spirit, don't you? Don't you like that, Franny? Arruda, what about you? Jimmy Green, hillbilly? Don't you? I just like the way. And you know when she put that bikini shot. I'm 50 years old. I'm 50 years old. Okay. I understand that. And that's great. And you know she does it wanting trolls. She wants that. She's also tougher than, she's picking cleans and jerks. By the way, speaking of clean and jerk, anyway, and make sure you clean before you jerk, which is what I've always suggested for the longest time. Well, here she is, and she just sticks it to Fauci. And I will tell you one particular point of order that I believe Mr. Raskin said in a point of correction. You ready? Are you paying attention? Listen carefully.
You also told the American people they had to distance by 6 feet. They had to wear masks.
She does this a lot, and she never says masks. You have to wear a mask. It's no big deal. It's no big deal. It's just something I don't know why. Certain things kind of drive me crazy. And that's not a very long ride.
But you also told the American people they had to distance by 6 feet. They had to wear masks. But let's also talk a little bit further about the type of science that you represent. NIH scientists made $710 million in royalties from drug makers, a fact that's been hidden. Let's talk about the fact about, is it right for scientists and doctors getting paid by the American people, government taxpayer paychecks to get patents where they're paid millions and hundreds of millions of dollars in royalty fees? Especially when the NIH and these government agencies, most powerful agencies in our country, are recommending medical suggestions and advice and making up guidelines like 6 feet distancing and masking of children. Do you think that's appropriate? Do the American people deserve to be abused like that, Mr. Fauci?
Oh, wait a minute. Did you hear that? Mr. Fauci. Mr. Fauci. Was that an error? Was that an erratum? I don't think so.
Because you're not doctor. You're Mr. Fauci in my few minutes.
Oh. Now wait. There is a retort that I wish she would use, but let's wait.
No, I don't need your answer. I want to talk about this right here.
Mr. Chairman,
Fauci,
objection.
I reclaim my
Mr. Chairman,
time.
objection.
I reclaim my time.
Gentlelady
Mr. Raskin.
Gentlelady will
Point of order.
suspend.
That's Raskin. Remember this one? This was when Fauci and his wife and somebody, they were at a baseball game, sitting right next to each other. Without a mask on. And you would think somebody who is involved with COVID people, he's in the, you would think he probably comes into contact with more people who themselves come into contact with more COVID. I mean, I would think. I mean, he's the last person I want to sit next to in a whatever it is. I despise that man.
Mr. Chairman,
Point of order.
just in terms of the rules of decorum, are we allowed to deny that a doctor is a doctor just
Now, wait.
because we don't want him to be a doctor?
Yes, because in my time, that man does not deserve to have a license. As a matter of fact, it should be revoked, and he belongs in
Gentlelady will
prison.
suspend.
Okay, listen to this.
Want him to be a doctor?
Wait. Hang on. Here we go.
Mr.
Point
Chairman,
of order.
just in terms of the rules of decorum, are we allowed to deny that a doctor is a doctor just because we don't want him to be a doctor?
Now, let me ask you something, and maybe you can help me with this. You know, it's funny about this. You know, I heard that Ketanji Brown Jackson, I think it's Brown Jackson, yes. She now is a Supreme Court justice. And when she was being considered for the position, lo and behold, they asked her questions. They said, can you define what a woman is or what a man was? And she said, well, who am I? I don't know. I can't tell. They've got genitals. Well, that doesn't mean anything. You can't tell what a woman is. Well, I don't know. Are you a woman? I don't know. Could be, maybe. So you mean to tell me if a man with a three-piece set is not a man, but could be a woman, then just because Fauci's called doctor doesn't mean he is a doctor. I mean, after all, he might be a trans doctor. Like Smiling Sue says, a quack doctor. You know what I mean? Don't these people make you sick? But my good friend, because of the fact that he is not in prison, the fact that he is not in prison, the fact that he answered the questions, the fact he didn't take the Fifth Amendment, the fact that somebody didn't send him a target letter, he's off the hook. He's off the hook. They got these people. They you know, for all I know, because I'm so contaminated by the world of professional wrestling. They're probably in the back. Caesar, how'd you do? That was great. Hey, Raskin, do you like the way I did the thing? I know. What about you, MTG? Loved it. The way you came back with a doctor on my time. They're probably high-fiving each other and laughing. Put on a good show. That's good for money raising and that kind of thing. What does it do? What does Fauci have to do to get your attention to break the law? That's my question. I wish we had our time. Don't you wish that we could pick people? Don't you wish that we could pick people? Don't you wish that we could pick people to say, and we're going to question you. We're going to question you. We're going to question you. We're going to have the people's question. Mr. Jordan, Ms. Green, Mr. Gates, have you, other than Steve Bannon, Mr. Navarro, have you ever heard of anybody that has been cited or charged with either contempt of Congress or have you done this? No. Why is it? What did Steve Bannon do that you can't do? What did Mr. Navarro do in terms of a contempt of Congress that you cannot? Do you have any? Has anybody before? Let me finish. Has anybody who has ever appeared before this august assembly, has any of them ever been charged? Have you ever referred any of these people? Mr. Jordan, Ms. Green, what does Dr. Fauci, about to use Senator Paul, what does Dr. Fauci have to do to even get a misdemeanor? What does he have to do? You tell me. What is it? Theft of services? Misprision? You mean to tell me you were the geniuses who came up with the emoluments clause? If this was a Trump appointee or if this was President Trump, you would come up with, violations of the Mann Act, the Logan Act, the Hatch Act. You would have. What does this man, and Mr. Jordan, do you get jollies out of this? Do you just love just picking on people? And Ms. Green, we love you. Don't get me wrong. We love you to death. But this is great theater, but we're tired of it. Is there anything that ever happens? Is there anything that ever happens? When you hold this thing up and you say $700 million, did this go anywhere? Did the Speaker of the House, did Mike Johnson do anything? Did you ever call? Did you ever refer this and go and say, ladies and gentlemen, I went to the FBI. We sent them this, and this, and nothing happened. Nothing happened. Do you ever, where does this go from here? Where does this go? That's what I want to know. Because I guarantee you, I'd sit there and say, yeah. And you know what? If Fauci told Marjorie Taylor Greene, hey, Marjorie, hey, you bleach, butch, black, big, bold, whatever, with a big, bold, built, whatever, why don't you just shut up? Why don't you take your bleach blonde and your tough gal attitude and go back to Georgia, wherever the hell you're from? I'm Tony Fauci, and I don't have to answer a damn question you ask. You know what would happen to him? Nothing. Objection, point of order. I got your point of order right here. Point of order this. You, and the same thing goes for you, Jimmy Jordan. I don't need this. I'm making more money and I've got millions. And on the back end, oh God, boards of directors like you can't believe. I've got stock like you can't buy. I've got the largest pension of anybody in the history of the government. So you don't talk to scare me, Missy. You got that? Same for you, Jimmy. None of you do, because you're all talk. I'm Tony Fauci, and I can do whatever I want. And I'm so bad, I used to go on TV every week, on every show, saying this stuff about, well, the mask. And then one day I said, hey, I found out the masks really don't help. Oh, I just figured that out. You stupid people believe this. You believed it. I had you going, though, didn't I? Oh, you were great. How about we made a fortune? You know, I have a company. You probably didn't know this. It makes those adhesive stickers that people keep 6 feet away. You know, those stickers are, remember that? That's me. How about that? Those plastic shields at the checkout. Remember that one? Where they were turning around. I said, remember that? Yeah, I can't hear you. Would you do this? Yeah. Remember when you poor bastards walking around with that welder's hat on? That was the saddest thing I've ever seen in my life. You people bought that hook, line, and sinker, and there's nothing you can do about it. So I'm Tony Fauci, all right? Anything else? Huh? Marge? Anything? Jimmy? Yeah, I'm out of here. Go ahead. What am I going to do? I'm not going to answer your question. You're not going to do anything to me. You don't do anything. You want theater? I'll give you theater here. Answer me. What would happen if he said this? What would he say this? What? If he said that, what would happen? Nothing. Nothing. Sergeant at arms. Sergeant at arms. Blow it out your. But even nothing. Now, I'll tell you one thing. There's a guy who I personally despise, but he's very good at the Torquemada. And this is a guy who had some very serious problems. Remember his own charges? Remember, they were like, he's a weird dude. Remember his son? He adopted a son? How old is this guy? Nestor or whatever. Remember that one? Okay. And you're the father? Okay. And you got married. And this is your wife? It's like Tim Scott, one of those things like, yeah, I'm married. You're married? Okay. And you had charges. Remember they were investigating him for child trafficking or whatever it was. That kind of went away. Remember that one? That being said, he's pretty doggone good. Pretty good. Here is our good friend, Mr. Gates, who is interviewing Mr. Merrick Garland. And this was pretty good. Some of it was a little bit, but still.
General, you've told us that it's a dangerous conspiracy theory to allege that the Department of Justice is communicating with these state and local prosecutions against Trump. You can clear it all up for us right now. Will the Department of Justice provide to the committee all documents, all correspondence between the department and Alvin Bragg's office and Fonnie Willis's office and Letitia James's office?
The offices you're referring to are independent offices of state.
I get that. The question is whether or not you will.
By the way, don't you love the way Merrick Garland always sounds like he's about to cry? And these are the people. They're independent states. You don't understand. They don't states' rights. States' rights. I can do this. Say what you want about Fauci. Fauci's tough. You're right, Marissa. He's a little weasel. He's like a little, and talk like this, and you don't, and we can't do that. We and this is remember Bill Barr playing the bagpipes? Tough guy. This guy always sounds like he just soiled this. That's another thing. I can't make these people do it. I can't. What am I going to do? Write them a letter? What if they say no? What? You're the Attorney General. I don't know what that even means. I wanted to be a Supreme Court judge, but you didn't let me because of that Biden rule or that holdover rule. And then you didn't let me. I'll never forgive you for that. You're going to pay. No, you're going to pay. So let's go back to the original question. It's very simple. Can we see your correspondence? That's it. If there's no conspiracy theory, there you go. Okay. One more time, Maddie.
To allege that the Department of Justice is communicating with these state and local prosecutions against Trump. You can clear it all up for us right now. Will the Department of Justice provide to the committee all documents, all correspondence between the department and Alvin Bragg's office and Fonnie Willis's office and Letitia James's office.
Good.
The offices you're referring to are independent offices of state.
I get that. I get that.
State.
The question is whether or not you will provide all of your documents
That's right.
and correspondence. That's the question. I don't need a history lesson.
Well, I'm going to say again, we do not control those offices. They make their
The question
own
is whether you.
That's not the question, schmuck. The question is, did you email them? Yes or no? And if yes, we want to see them. We want to see all communications, phone records, trips. Do you understand that? Why in the name of God is Matt Colangelo going from the Department of Justice in Washington to the DA in Manhattan with Alvin Bragg? What was that about? It's not even a lateral move. It's like a demotion. Come on, Merrick. And by the way, what kind of name is Merrick?
Communicate with them, not whether you control them. Do you communicate with them, and will you provide those
You
communications?
make a request, we'll refer it to our Office of Legislative
But
Affairs.
see, here's the thing.
This is make a request. You're the Attorney General, schmuck. You can do whatever you want. You can do this. You can do this.
They
You
will
come in
respond
here and you
appropriately.
lodge this attack that it's a conspiracy theory that there is coordinated lawfare against
Yep.
Trump. And then when we say, fine, just give us the documents, give us the correspondence, and then if it's a conspiracy theory, that will be evident. But when you say, well, we'll take your request, and then we'll sort of work it through the DOJ's accommodation process, then you're actually advancing the very dangerous conspiracy theory that you're concerned about. Now, you were a judge, once nominated to the highest court in our country. When you were a judge, I'm just curious, did you ever make political donations to partisan candidates?
No.
No.
You never did?
And you didn't, because that would create the potential appearance of impropriety.
I didn't, because there's a federal rule
Oh.
barring federal judges from making contributions.
Right, but under that same theory of attacks on the judicial process, like, shouldn't someone be owed like a jury of their peers and a judge that's non-biased rather than getting a judge from your political opponent's donor file?
I'm well aware that you're not asking a hypothetical. You're asking me to comment on a jury verdict in another jurisdiction
Good.
which has to be respected. I won't comment on it. That case is still ongoing. The
Yep.
defendant
Mr.
has
Attorney General,
indicated-
I hadn't asked you about the verdict yet. We were getting there. I was talking about the judge. And so let me ask you this question about your time as a judge. Was there ever a time when you were a judge when you had a family member who was personally profiting off of the notoriety of a
Good.
case that was before your court?
I'm going to say again, it's very clear you're asking me to comment.
This is complete caca del toro. This is where we say, I'm above that. I'm above that. I got a better one for you, Merrick. Very, very simple, Merrick. A lot of you folks thought it was a good idea to give old Judge Alito a hard time because his wife happened to fly a flag, okay? And you wanted to give Ginny Thomas, Clarence Thomas's wife, a hard time because she might have been associated with conservative organizations or what have you. Now, these are lifetime appointments. You can't get rid of a Supreme Court. This wasn't some weird Tammany Hall kind of a local ward politician appointment. They're there for life. And yet, the radical left woke group wanted these judges to recuse themselves. But you mean to tell me that if we bring up the fact of a judge in a state system, one of the most political anybody's ever even seen before, a state judge who has no lifetime tenure, whose daughter is making millions off of this? Come on, Merrick. Come on, man. Tell me the truth.
On a case in another jurisdiction.
No, wait, hold on, Mr. Attorney General. Did you ever have a family member profit off of the notoriety of any case that you sat over?
Say again, you're asking
Yes or no?
me, you're asking me to comment on a case currently.
No. The answer is no. Okay, let me ask you a question, Mr. Garland. Yeah, do you ever have a serial killer cousin who decided to commit vivisection in the middle of a Sunday? No, you can answer the question. You don't answer the question because you know what the answer is.
Well, it seems you're
Before
connecting the
another
dots,
forum.
Mr. Attorney General. I'm just asking you as to a general principle, but you are aware that Judge Merchan's daughter was profiting off
Yes.
of this prosecution. You are aware that that creates the appearance of impropriety. You know the very reason there's a federal rule against judges giving donations is because it is the very attack on the
Yes.
judicial process that we're concerned about.
I'm sorry, I don't agree with anything you just said, but I'm not going to
You don't? You don't think that's an appearance of impropriety? And by the way, Judge Merchan, you know, one of the things that was important was during the days of civil rights was that people, especially the days of civil rights, they would sometimes intervene in state court prosecutions. Remember Mississippi burning? Remember Philadelphia, Mississippi? Remember that the civil rights? Well, that was a Mississippi court, state court, and the FBI came in there and said, "Oh no, because you're violating civil rights." It's done all the time. It's done all the time. This guy, he is the worst. He's not even good at this. This is why he's never tried a case in his life. He's never been a private. He's never been a private, maybe some titular private practice. He's been a judge. He's so disconnected from reality.
comment on a
Okay,
on an
so you
action
won't
in
comment on
another
it, Mr.
court.
Attorney General, but you had no problem dispatching Matthew Colangelo. Who's
That's the one. Now, to be fair, Matthew Colangelo was not dispatched, but you know, it is a good point.
Matthew
That is
Colangelo?
false. I did not dispatch Matthew Colangelo.
Matthew
That's
Colangelo,
false.
Matthew
False.
Colangelo became
Listen to
the
this.
Assistant Attorney General at the very beginning of the Biden administration. Without having been Senate confirmed, goes and gets the senior role at the DOJ, and then after, I believe it's Gupta replaces Colangelo, Colangelo makes this remarkable downstream career
Yep.
journey
Yep.
from the U.S. Department of Justice in Washington, D.C., and then pops up in Alvin Bragg's office to go get Trump. And you're saying that's just a career choice that was made that has nothing to do with the lawfare coordinated by
I'm saying it's false. I did not dispatch Mr. Colangelo anywhere.
Now, that's not the point. Merrick, by the way, what kind of name is Merrick? Anyway, Merrick, you mean to tell me as an attorney general, you don't know anything about that? Nobody told you, Mr. Attorney General, Mr. General, they call him General. General Garland, yes. Did you know that Matthew Colangelo, he's what? Yeah, listen, you might want to know about that because they're going to bring this up. And consequently, it might be a good idea for you to know about this. He didn't even know about it. I really believe, I don't think this guy knows anything.
Well, do you know how he ended up there?
I assume he he applied for a job there and got the job.
But see,
Applied for a job to go from the height, the pinnacle of the DOJ to becoming an assistant DA in Manhattan. Come on.
you know
I
what?
can tell
know
you
what?
I had nothing to do with it.
Well, you might not have had anything to do with it, but we've got this contemporaneous evidence in Mr. Pomerantz's book. So Pomerantz writes this book, which I'm sure you're aware of, where he's
Pomerantz was one of the two assistant ADAs who left when they were furious over the fact that Bragg and Cy Vance, or either one or both, declined to prosecute President Trump. And they wrote this very extensive book about it.
says, we put together the legal eagles to get Trump. We got all these folks together and we assembled them for that purpose. And so when we on the Judiciary Committee think about attacks on the judicial process, our concern is that the facts and the law aren't being followed. A target is acquired,
Yes.
here, Trump, and then you assemble the legal talent from DOJ, Mr. Pomerantz, and you bring everybody in to get him. And meanwhile, the judge is making money on it. The judge is making money on it, or the judge's family is making money on it for stuff that you yourself wouldn't do. You know, no one's going to buy this. No one's going to believe it. It's going to create great disruption. And I am saddened by it because, like you, I have given my life to the law. I care deeply about the law. And I think that the lawfare we've seen against President Trump will do great damage well beyond our time in public service. I see my time's expired. I yield back.
That's excellent. Now, what does it matter? Nothing. 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 You're right. Stanley, hamada. I don't know as far as I'm concerned. I don't know where you get off saying that. I'm doing the best I can. I don't want this job. I hate this job. I want to be a judge where nobody knows me. I'm quiet. He was on the DC circuit. That was like the, one step before the Supreme Court. This is what this guy was. I mean, he was just groomed. I hate to use that word, groomed for this. Stand by for a second, my friends. You know, when you talk about, it's time yet again, my friends, to hail and, hang on a minute. Huh? What was that? Oh, when you talk about somebody who has been absolutely the product of his own lawfare, you think of Michael Lindell. Michael Lindell is one of the finest people in the world. He's still standing. He's still standing. And those pillars that he has are absolutely fantastic. MyPillow.com, the greatest. You know it. You love it. They're the best. MyPillow.com, MyPillow.com, MyPillow.com. I'm going to say it again. And where do you go to MyPillow.com? Well, you go to MyPillow.com, but promo code Lionel. Now let's go. It's time yet again, my friends, to hail and salute our great friends at MyPillow.com. And if you use promo code Lionel, you'll get a free gift. No purchase necessary. And yes, I know a free gift. It's a tautology, so sue me. But first, listen carefully. Check out their $25 extravaganzas. Premium My Pillows, Queen and King, My Pillow 2.0, My Pillow bed sheets, the lowest price ever. Sandals, slides, slippers, 6-piece towel sets, 4-pack dish towel sets. Simply and absolutely unbelievable. So go to mypillow.com/Lionel. MyPillow.com, promo code Lionel, or call 800-645-4965 and watch how fast Mike Lindell answers the phone. MyPillow.com, simply and absolutely the best. My friend, it comes down to simply this, and you know it and I know it. This is so corrupt. It's so corrupt. Absolutely so corrupt. Now, you know, what I did was I got to ask the question, and I know we're getting tired of this, but every time I do shows or talk about this, I know I come across like I'm not a glad hander. You know what I mean? I should be one of the people, hey, everything's great. No, everything's not great. And when it comes to commenting on Trump, oh my God, I'm so tired. Have you, there's so much here that I can say as an observer, as opposed to me trying to be the greatest commentator of all time. Have you noticed that Dershowitz is like, has he become like more, I mean, bless his heart. He's 85 years old. He's been a great lawyer, been around for a long time, but does he not sound like the biggest? I knew that. I predicted that. I knew that. I'm there. I wrote 30 books, 40 books, 50 books. I'm a genius. Okay. I mean, it works, but I mean, do you understand what's happening here? Do you really understand what's happening here? Not the way it should be, but the way it is. See, that's the problem. You great friends and great people and great folks, you want to know the way it is. We all know the way it should be. I know. I get it. I understand. Yeah. It's supposed to be, but it's not like that. I did a brand new video, my friends. I want you to, have you seen this Pat McAfee case? There's nothing to do with this. And I didn't want to get involved in it, but I did nonetheless. The Pat McAfee case. And he referred to Caitlin Clark as a white bee butaneda. Okay. And I thought to myself, they didn't even listen to the context. I don't even know where to go, where people don't even listen to that. They don't listen to the case. They don't listen anymore. And you know, in the back of the room, I'm always afraid that in the back, Merrick Garland and Matt Gage will say, how were you doing? Oh, Matt, that was great. Hey, you were terrific. Merrick, how do you do that? That quiver of your voice. Well, I know I've been doing that one. You're fed. By the way, do you like the way they brought up about you and your family? Was that good? Yeah, that was great. Yeah, okay. You're going to be back in. All right, see you next time. Bye-bye. It's kind of like that Warner Brothers, you know, where the sheepdog and the whatever. I don't believe any of it. I don't believe any of this. I don't believe any of what was happening right now. The level of corruption is beyond anything. I don't even know where to go. And this was even more incredible. I don't even know where to go. Let me see. What was? Do you know there was a? Did you hear the story about what they're doing with NATO? The latest thing with NATO and oh my God. Okay, hang on. Colonel McGregor, who is so terrific and so. Did you hear his piece? And it is some of the most phenomenally horrible stuff I've ever heard. And they're talking about something which we're not talking about because, of course, most Americans don't care anything about it. They don't care anything about it. For reasons I do not know, but they don't seem to care anything about it. And they're now talking about, and this is the most important. Oh, here we go. This is the most frightening thing in the world. NATO. Now listen to me. NATO has disclosed its preparations to deploy American troops to the European front lines in the event of a full-scale conflict with Russia. NATO is preparing to deploy American troops. Innovative, quote, land corridors are being established to expedite the movement of soldiers through Central Europe, bypassing local bureaucratic hurdles. This strategic setup enables NATO forces to swiftly react should Putin's aggressive actions in Ukraine extend westward. Reports suggest that these plans also encompass provisions for potential Russian attacks. In such scenarios, troops could mobilize through corridors in Italy, Greece, and Turkey to reach the Balkans, or alternatively, advance towards Russia's northern border via Scandinavia. Tell me you are not petrified by that. And tell me why you're not petrified. What about that do you think the American public doesn't understand? Is it the subject matter? Is it too dry? Is it like, well, they don't really. Can you explain this? I'm thinking to myself, dear God, this is Russia? You're messing around with Russia, a nuclear powerhouse like we are, over what exactly? Anybody? No, we're talking about stuff. Tell me, somebody, why doesn't that make anybody scary? Why doesn't that scare anybody? Can you tell me that? Do you know what it would sound like? What it would be if all of a sudden there's just a low yield, just a nuke that goes off, and somebody says, "I told you. This is my red line. I told you." And you would say, "And why are we there again? Oh yeah, NATO. What was that again? I heard something the other day. I heard something today also, which I cannot believe what I was hearing. It's Bill Maher. Why Bill Maher all of a sudden? Look, it's a free country. People can say whatever they want. Bill Maher was talking about Palestinians and people in Gaza like they're from another planet. It was as close to not only racism, but treating them like they're some kind of subhuman animal. I know that sounds extreme, but it's a God's honest truth. I heard him speak on the show and I thought to myself, dear God, what is the matter with us? And yet I can't get anybody's attention here. Anybody. When you talk about Israel, when you talk about Gaza, when you talk about the Palestinians, you get these things like, well, Hamas is, they have no idea. They have no idea of what's going on. Nobody else has any idea what's going on in the Ukrainian border with Russia. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to get people's attention. I don't know. I have no earthly idea of what's happening. And America, you think, would say, what are you doing? Ladies and gentlemen, Lori Cuck says Russia uninvited to D-Day party in France. Unbelievable. I did not see that. Who was it who said, Savini from Italy, the assistant prime minister, he told Macron, he says, you want to go to, you want to fight? You put on a uniform and you go fight. I don't understand this. You want to get somebody mad? Let me ask this question. Could Russia have beaten the Germans, leave it at that, without the U.S. helping? Yes or no? Yes or no? Not would it have been easier? No, of course not. Because you believe in this Saving Private Ryan story, and that nothing happened without D-Day. Without D-Day, nothing. It was just a stalemate. Barbarossa would have gone through. Nothing. It was just without D-Day, without Ike, without Omaha Beach, none of that. We'd all be speaking German, right? Or whatever it was. Remember that? You believe that? Absolutely not. It's inconceivable for people to understand. The ferocity. Barbarossa, thank God, when Hitler was stupid enough to do that. People have this idea. They just love to make things up. They just love to make things up. But that's not the point. I wonder, how is it that people do this? What is the mentality behind this? I mean, this goes beyond anything you can imagine. And recently, when Annie Jacobson wrote her incredible book about nuclear war, people were saying, "Boy, this is a pretty scary stuff." Yeah, this is pretty scary stuff. It sure is pretty scary. Yeah, it's scary, all right. Nuclear war. You think that's scary? I sure do. Well, what do you think about what we're doing in Ukraine? Beg your pardon? What do you think about what we're doing in Ukraine? I don't understand it. So I would tell people, if you want to make it in this country, especially in politics, make sure you do a couple of things. And if you want to go into the mainstream, you got to play the hits. And the hits are very, very simple. Debbie Gibson, the usual stuff. You lied on my life. Don't get funky with these people. And don't give them a lot of stuff about, don't make people think. Also, Americans will not ever look at the map. They have no interest in this. Nothing. No interest whatsoever. Nothing. But they'll talk all day long about Fauci because they hate him. And he's good press, and they tune in. Everybody wants to cover that one. And if you can get a piece of Fauci, that's good for, going back home and raising money. And people say, well, that was good. We're gonna help your campaign. Thank you. You talk Fauci. Oh, it was good. I like that. Yep, that's what they did. All right. That's what they do. Yep. That's the part that absolutely kills me. And they never ask this question. Do you have, my friends, something called the right to refuse some form of medicine or surgery or a shot or something mandatory? Do you have that right? Do you have the right to do that? Do you? Don't know. I think the case was it Jacobson? No. It's 1905 out of Massachusetts. Lori Cuck says, this is very interesting. Our last 20 million, we should have some respect. Oh, Russia lost. Oh, yeah, 20 million. Oh, yes. Yes, you're right about that. There was this case of Jacobson. That's right. Jacobson against Massachusetts, 1905. Refused to receive smallpox injections. Did you hear this one? It was a very interesting case, 1905. And on February the 20th, 1905, the Supreme Court, by a 7-2 majority, said in Jacobson that the city of Cambridge, Massachusetts, could fine residents who refused to receive smallpox injections. In 1901, there was an epidemic that was brutal that swept through Massachusetts, reacted, and the state rather reacted by requiring all adults receiving smallpox inoculations subject to a $5 fine. Well, there was a fellow named Pastor Henning Jacobson, and he suggested that he and his son both were injured by prior vaccines and refused to be vaccinated again and to pay the state fine. In state court, Jacobson argued that the vaccine law violated Massachusetts and federal constitutions. The state courts, including Massachusetts Supreme Court, rejected his claims. And before the Supreme Court, Jacobson argued that compulsion to introduce disease into a healthy system is a violation of liberty. And all it did was it dealt specifically with you just paying the fine. We don't know what the answer to that is. We don't know what the answer to that is. That's the question to be asking, not this and that. Did you make $700 million? And are you a jerk? What if I'm saying I'm going to introduce into your body a system of rewiring your DNA? What do you think about that? Take it or leave it. And if you don't, remember all these. I mean, it's the most incredible thing I've ever seen. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. That's the issue. And nobody's talking about that. Nobody. All right, dear friends and colleagues, thank you so much for sharing this evening. Keep up the faith. Keep up the good fight. Don't give in. Don't give up. Don't go crazy. I understand this is tough. Believe me. Where do you go? It's one of those ones where you're thinking to myself, my God, it's horrible. But we're going to make it together. Lori Cook says, over my dead body. Never tell these people that, Lori. They might take you up on it. And thank you, Lori, for your kindness. Thank you for your kindness. All right, dear friends, we'll see you mañana as we talk more and more about what makes America great and what we know about the law. And I hope that when we leave, you'll say, you know, I never thought about it like that. That's all I want to do. All right, dear friends, don't forget to follow Mrs. L at Lynn's Warriors on YouTube. And until tomorrow morning, as we always say, always as a valedictory, as a sayonara. Remember, the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue you. Dad.